trifle bare, doesn't it, Mr. Gunn? I'm Arthur Copeland.
Oh, I'm glad to know you, Mr. Copeland.
Forgive my urgency on the phone.
No problem.
That is inaccurate. There is a problem. With an excellent chance I may be arrested for murder.
Well, that brings up a few questions.
Did I do it? Assuredly not. There used to be a crossbow on that wall. My crossbow.
Really? What happened to it?
Don't be obtuse, Mr. Gunn. It was stolen, apparently yesterday. Stolen, I'm afraid, not by just a thief, but a murderer.
Murderer?
Surely you read the newspapers.
Oh, I try and keep up.
The gentleman who expired yesterday in Harvard Park.
Well, he didn't exactly expire. According to the police, he was helped along the way by an arrow from a crossbow.
There's the rub, Mr. Gunn. Undoubtedly, it was my crossbow. The crossbow was the only thing that was taken. No money, nothing else.
Have you reported this to the police?
One doesn't rush to the police when the situation is rather delicate. Observe, Mr. Gunn. The Lance and Shield Club, the most exclusive key club in the city, private membership. I am extremely discriminating in regard to my clientele. I wish I could say the same about my past.
What about your past, Mr. Copeland?
Call it the errors of youth, Mr. Gunn. A little bit of beer running, a touch of protection, as it were. A number of vagaries I thought swashbuckling. The police didn't quite see it that way.
You were convicted?
There was some incarceration involved. 3 years in all. You can appreciate, Mr. Gunn, what would happen to all this if my patrons learned that I was an ex-convict.
What can I do for you, Mr. Copeland?
I wish to implore you to seek out this wanton killer, and quickly. As regards your fee, money is of no consequence. Should suspicion fall upon me, the scandal would be horrendous, completely disastrous.
Well, I'll have a look around, Mr. Copeland.
Look with alacrity, Mr. Gunn. Time is of the essence. I should not like to live again in durance vile.
Once you figure out what it is, what are you going to do with it, Lieutenant?
What are you doing here?
I dropped by your office. They said I could find you here.
Social call?
No?
Couldn't possibly have anything to do with Artemis Prindeville.
What's an Artemis Prindeville?
At the risk of telling you what you already know, he's the man who was killed yesterday.
Well, we're a little grumpy tonight.
Yeah, we're grumpy. Spend hours in this mausoleum trying to get a lead on who'd want to kill him, and these are the kind of leads we come up with.
Say, if these ever come back in style, he was loaded.
Very funny. Anything?
What about friends or relatives?
He was a recluse. He never left the house, except to get the evening paper. Always the same routine. At exactly 4 o'clock, he'd sit on a bench in front of the library, read his paper, come home. He did what a lot of people should do nowadays. Mind his own business.
You said it was a crossbow?
I didn't say it. The lab said it.
Where is the weapon?
We are looking for it. We have men covering every house in the vicinity, okay?
That's going to take you a little time.
It's going to take me a lot longer if you keep standing here asking questions. Maybe you'd like to answer one.
Oh, you know me, Lieutenant. Anything to help.
You wouldn't happen to have a client who's a crossbow fanatic, would you?
What's a crossbow?
Jokes.
Peter. Hello, Baron. Nice to see you again. Thank you. I need some information.
If I can help.
Crossbows.
I suspected as much.
Really?
I read the papers. And it's on all the news broadcasts. Strange, too. Because for the most part, my weapons have ceased to be useful.
Useful?
Productive. In the capacity for which they were intended, that is. However, they still serve as a constant reminder that mankind is dedicated to its own destruction.
Do you really believe that?
Look around you.
Quite an argument.
Proof positive.
But don't you think destructive would be a better word than productive?
Well, the key is in one's point of view, Peter. Since prehistoric man discovered the simple sling, mankind has dedicated itself to the creation of an ultimate weapon. Now it seems we have it. And it's only a matter of time before mankind realizes his destiny and becomes extinct.
And that isn't destructive?
I wasn't thinking of the end result so much as the means by which it's accomplished. If mankind persists in his suicidal quest, and there's every reason to believe that he will, if there's no alternative, if mankind must, by his own persistence, destroy himself, then isn't it reasonable to consider the means practical, the weapon useful? The crossbow.
Yeah?
That's a fascinating weapon. However, for your purposes, Peter, not very useful.
Not very.
But for the killer's purpose.
Well, as you said, Baron, the key is in one's point of view.
Exactly. The advantages of the crossbow were twofold. It could be drawn ahead of time, and the draw held while the bow was aimed. Actually, the early ones were rather poor specimens. But they improved. Shall I show you how it works?
Please.
This is a late 15th century bow. There we are. Very accurate, highly effective.
What about its range?
Oh, maximum range of a strong arbalest was about 120 yards. However, to achieve that distance, the bolt had to be shot upwards at a 45-degree angle.
And level trajectory?
60 yards. At that distance, it could pierce a suit of armor. Try it.
On what?
Suit of armor.
Are you serious?
Of course. Give the exhibition a touch of realism. Useful?
To say the least. Well, thanks a lot, Baron. You've been very informative.
Come again. Progress.
You are now looking at Lena, the youngest and most beautiful fire reader in the world today. Fire reading is a very dangerous occupation. And now, folks, Lena will give you a slight demonstration of her great ability. Okay? That's all part of the act, folks, all part of the act.
A fire eater.
Fire eater.
Go figure it. First a lonely old man with no friends, now a carny performer with nothing but. No motive.
No apparent motive.
Okay, so what about a motive?
What about one?
I can't find one, that's what about it. What if there isn't any? What if the killer is just getting his kicks by knocking off anybody who strikes his fancy?
Then it should be pretty obvious.
What?
The killer's a psychopath.
A psychopath.
How'd the girl get it?
Who?
The last victim.
Oh, in the chest.
I didn't say where. I said how.
From a building across the boardwalk, the top floor of the roof.
Any other clues?
Not one. You know something?
What?
If our killer really is a homicidal maniac with a flair for the spectacular, he might just go on killing people.
Frightening.
Oh, boy. Run it through the lab, see what you can come up with.
I hope he has better luck than you did with the servants.
Would you rather have questioned them?
What, miss you in action? Those rapier-like interrogations?
Look, it happened very fast. They didn't see anything. This is entirely possible, you know. Now, if you'll excuse me.
You got another idea, Lieutenant?
The judge's son was pretty broken up. He may be able to talk now.
Let's watch the fingerprints.
Ralph, I'd like to ask a few questions.
My dad. Why'd anyone want to do a thing like that?
That's what we're trying to find out. Were you in here when it happened? Did you hear anything? Any sounds, noises?
Just the glass breaking, the window. Then I ran in there.
Did you hear anybody outside? What is it?
I thought I heard the dog growl. But I'm not sure now.
Ralph, we're going to have to ask you about your father's friends, associates, anybody who knew him. You understand his routine.
Obviously, this was a window to stay away from. All right if I touch? That's a handy whistle. Just a dog whistle. It's not important. That depends on which side of the dog you're on. You seem to belong here. I am Karl. I take care of the grounds by looking through windows. I look. It's terrible what happened in there. Judge was very good to me. Is this the judge's dog? Yeah, but I care for him. You must have been caring for him pretty good about an hour ago when the judge was killed. The killer had to get onto the grounds. How did he get past him? I do not know. You'd better be a little more definite than that when the police talk to you. About what? About where you were when the crossbow was fired. You accuse Karl of murder? Just speculating.
I must tell you frankly, Mr. Gunn, I don't appreciate your tone.
I don't think you appreciate your position, Mr. Copeland. Like your connection with Judge Martin.
Connection?
We found a letter in his desk. Seems you were trying to buy city property in order to enlarge your club. Now, unfortunately, the judge was a rather thorough man. He checked your record, didn't like what he saw, so he rejected your petition.
Ironic.
Is it?
In my speckled career, I've come upon two judges, one directly and one inadvertently. Apparently, I'm destined to be a foil for the judiciary.
I'm afraid you're destined for a striped suit. 3 people have been killed with a crossbow, presumably yours. The last man you knew.
I must admit to a certain degree of dismay.
Mr. Copeland, you look bad. You look a lot worse. The police have to come to you instead of you going to them.
With my record, they're bound to book me. And, Mr. Gunn, I did not commit these odious deeds.
You look a lot less guilty if the police didn't have to come calling for you.
Rather awkward, isn't it? Either I wait and let them arrest me here, or go to them and ask them to.
Tell them the truth. Level with them. Maybe they'll see it your way. After all, you do have a way with words.
Should they not see it my way, you can rest assured I shall bombard them with a veritable avalanche of verbiage.
Do me a favor.
Like what?
Don't do me any favors. It took eight of us to get his prints.
Did he put up a fight?
A talk, a long-winded oration. The minute we got his hands, he recited the Bill of Rights to us.
You got him bedded down for the night?
In a manner of speaking. He's filibustering. He's alerting all the other prisoners to their inalienable rights. Nobody can sleep.
What do you think?
Who knows? I got him booked on suspicion, but who knows? I'll tell you one thing. If he did kill the judge, it was over a lot more than that turned down on city property.
What are those?
These are canceled checks. Found them in the judge's desk. I called his bank, and they said they were cashed last week. A total of $32,000. Practically wiped out the judge's bank balance.
That could throw a new light on the situation. Maybe he was paying somebody off.
It could go this way. Copeland is having his problems with the judge. So maybe he gets lucky. He learned something the judge is willing to pay to conceal.
But if it was blackmail, why would he kill him?
Well, the well ran dry. He couldn't meet the demands.
I don't think so. Kill 3 people just trying to find the right one? That's pretty loose.
It's pretty diabolical. Look, you want to kill a man, but you know the motive ties right back to you. So you cover it. You cover it with a series of indiscriminate killings.
But which ones are the indiscriminate killings?
We'll have a long, jovial chat with Copeland in the morning.
Well, in the meanwhile, why don't you make a phone call? We'll pay this bank a visit.
2:30 in the morning?
Well, that's the best time. We might take some samples home.
Hello? All right. I'll send a couple of men over. I'll be along. Feet. You go ahead and check out that bank.
Problem?
Copeland may have a chat with us about false arrest. Somebody else just got it. With a crossbow.
Rest assured, you've not heard the end of this. I've never been so humiliated in all my life.
These things happen, Mr. Copeland.
A private citizen terrorized by the Gestapo. I thought those things went out.
We simply booked you. We made a mistake. We're releasing you.
You can tell that to my attorney. You'll be dragged through the courts. We shall seek satisfaction in the highest courts in the land.
You have the department's apology.
It is insufficient. And now, if you'll be good enough.
What?
To return my shoelaces. Land of the free, home of the brave, indeed.
I've advised the board, no girl tellers, I said. But would they listen? No, indeed. Do you know what girl tellers do, Mr. Gunn?
Suppose you tell me what they do, Mr. Merrick.
It's a matter of chemistry. Girl tellers concentrate on boy depositors.
That figures.
Plays havoc with the files. Oops. Here we are. Marked and filed under Q. May I see those checks, please? Oh, my. Oh, those girl tellers.
Mr. Merrick.
Can you imagine them cashing checks in these amounts without coming to me? This is just disastrous.
You mean the signatures don't match?
These checks have been forged.
Mr. Merrick, do you think your teller could identify whoever cashed those checks?
Well, she had better.
Emmett said the killing was on the other side of town.
I don't understand.
All right, open the trunk. Open it.
It was his fault. All his fault.
Who?
The good, benevolent judge. The self-righteous fool. All my life I've heard it. I can still hear it. People are the important things. Take care of them. Be kind to them. Love them. But where was he when I needed him?
Why did you forge those checks?
I gambled. I needed money. The generous judge gave me an allowance of $25 a week.
You gambled $30,000 away.
I wanted to be free of him. Get out of his shadow. Start gambling. Piles up. I went to him. Told him about it. You know what he wanted to do? Put me in jail. My own father. The man who loved people.
Come on.
I let you in the gate. Now I do not know if I do right.
Thanks, Karl.
Come on.